Hi, my name's Yvonne and I'm a UK Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today I'm going to show you some more advanced tools for crafting. These are the ones that I use on a regular basis and I find them essential for crafters who are going to create things for craft fairs, or they're going to be doing wedding invitations or doing cards for charities, things like that. So this collection is of the tools that I use on a daily basis, really. So the first tool is the bone folder. This is so you get nice creases in your folds on your cardstock. This one's a little bit grubby and I've had this for a long time. So a bone folder is an essential part to getting your creases on your card or paper stock really crisp. So I'm just going to run it down there and then you've got a nice crease. So the bone folder is excellent. Right, paper trimmers. I have two. I have the Fiskars, which I purchased I don't know, about 2 years ago, and I also have the Stamping Up version. Now the difference between the two, the Stamping Up version has got a blade for cutting and a blade for scoring. So it's a nice surface, it's a good 12-inch paper trimmer. I've had smaller paper trimmers in the past and I don't think it's worth the money to go smaller. I'd go for the 12-inch as a minimum size. I have actually got a larger trimmer, which is a rotary trimmer, but I hardly use that now. Now I've got these ones. Now the Fiskars one, as I say, we've got the Stampin' Up one that does the cutting and the scoring, which is great. Now the Fiskars one has got a tiny wire that runs along the cutting blade, and what that does, if I can show, it shows you where you are cutting. Probably need a piece of white card rather than don't know whether you'll be able to see that. There's a line and that's exactly where the cut's going to be, and I find this wire really useful. So this is the reason why I've got this one, the Fiskars. Again, it's a 15-inch, this one, not a 12-inch one, so a 15-inch cutting area, but it's a really good one. So I do tend to use both, just depending which one I get my hands on. As I say, the Stampin' Up one, you've got the scoring blade as well as the cutting blade. So it's a multi-use tool, and it comes out, and that comes out to 15 inch as well. So they're the two paper trimmers that I use. Now I have got another paper trimmer. And this is a Guillotine one. Oops. And this is a Tim Holtz Tonic Studios one. Now I use this one especially if I'm cutting a smaller card and I'm cutting a lot of it, then I'll use the Guillotine one. Now this is not for everybody. I would definitely not recommend it for children at all, but for serious crafters it is a nice Guillotine. As I say, it's a small one and it's just ideal for smaller cards, especially if you've got to cut a lot, which I've had a lot to do at Christmas time. So that's another option for cutting your card and paper stock. The next piece of equipment is the scoreboard, and up until I started using Stampin' Up products, I'd had scoreboards and never actually used them, and now I find this invaluable. So you've got clear markings down the side of the size, and across the top you've got little pegs where you can mark so you know where to score, and it's got its own stylus, so it's got two-ended stylus, and it is really good. I made a mark down there. So yeah, a lot of demonstrators have got this, and it is a really good scoring tool and scoring board, and I'm glad I've got it because it's excellent for doing boxes, for doing your own cards, bases, and yeah, I wouldn't be without it basically. So that's the scoring. Next one is the envelope punch board. Now I haven't got a lot of punch boards, but I absolutely love this one. Not only does it make envelopes, you can make boxes with it as well, and there's various videos on YouTube showing you how to use this. You can make crackers with this, which I have got an example of there. So just using this, you can make your own crackers in whatever size you want. I've done this for lip glosses and for small body washers. So this will do this really easy. So as I say, you've got the various it tells you all the card sizes and paper what you need and what score lines you're going to use, and it's got its own scoring tool just in case you've lost the one that you on your scoring board. And then the other side is actually a corner rounder punch, which is very good. So that is the Stampin' Up envelope punch board. I highly recommend it. If you don't want too many punch boards, this is probably the most essential one. And this is the Stampiratus, and what this is a stamping board to put your stamps on. And this is ideal if you've got a lot of projects and you're doing repetitive stamping. Now you can either have it on the side or you can have it there. And you've got a mat and a magnet. You've got a mat for when you're using the polymer stamps, and you can take that off when you're using the clear mount stamps, the red rubber ones. So it's really good, and I'll just show you. At the moment I have plates already made up with the stamps that I'll be using for a particular project. They're in the right position that I need them to be in, and I've got 2 on one side and 1 on the other, and then I've got another plate which has, as you can see, it's a little bit stained because I've not cleaned it properly. So then I've got another stamp on that side and another one on that side. Because I've got a polymer stamp on one, then I can't put them on the both sides because of the difference in texture. But yeah, I've got these set up for when I'm doing my projects. Then I don't need to worry about positioning the stamps. They're already positioned ready for me. I'll cut the card and then I just can stamp away, and I know they're going to be in the right position. So you'll get 2 plates with when you buy your Stampiratus, and it is a really good stamping platform. Oops, sorry about that, knocked you again. It's a really good stamping platform. I've had the Tim Holtz one, and since the Stampiratus came out I got rid of my Tim Holtz, so I'm really pleased with it, and it is a really good investment. As I say, if you're not doing mass producing cards or things like that, you might want to consider the purchase of this, but as I say, I highly recommend it. It saved me a lot of time, I can tell you. If you don't want to use Stampiratus or you haven't got a stamping platform, then there's stamping blocks. Now these are the ones from Stampin' Up, and I've got a couple of sizes. I have the D block, the H block and the B block. I find these ones are roughly the average sizes that I use. Now they've got lovely curved lines around it, and I'll just show you. This is an old block of mine and a cheap one, and it's not as tactile, it's really sharp on some of the edges, so the actual Stampin' Up blocks are really good. As I say, you can hold them comfortably in your hand, and they are really smooth, and they're clear as well. I haven't had any really bad splitting on them. In previous cases I've had these sort of the cheaper blocks have got cracks in them, and the ink's gone through the cracks and things like that. So I've had these a couple of years and they are really good blocks. Right. So the next part is, if you want to do embossing, then there are a few tools that you really need. So apart from the embossing heat gun, which I've got the Stampin' Up one, which has got 2 settings, one to dry ink and one for the embossing powder. It's a really nice, comfortable machine. I had a previous model that wasn't Stampin' Up. It was a different company, and I had it a long time, so they're not something that's you're going to have to replace every year. It's something that it's going to be quite a few years before you have to replace it. So get a good quality one. As I say, this one I've been using only recently, and it is really good. So when you are embossing, one thing you do need is an embossing buddy. And all it is a little bag with some fine powder in it. And what this does is take the static off your card before you emboss. Because if you don't do that, then any oils on your fingers, it'll attract the powder, and it may attract the powder to a place where you don't want it. So this is an essential thing if you're doing embossing, to use an embossing buddy. Another essential piece of equipment, especially if you're embossing, is this. It's an EK Tools Reversible Tweezer. So it's got a little cover on the point, and it's got really pointy tweezers, but it's reversible. So you squeeze it to open it and let go to close. So this is excellent for when you're actually heat embossing and you've got a little piece of card. All you need to do is just clip it and hold it. So no more burnt fingers, which is great. And I love these tweezers. They are really good, but as I say, they're the reversible tweezers, and they're really comfortable. On the next part, if you're going to watercolour, then I definitely recommend water brushes. I've got a couple here. They're just basic ones, nothing too fancy, but they are great. They store the water. All you need to do is squeeze the water out onto your project, or as I've been doing, is just onto the block, and then you can pick up the water if you don't want too much water on your project and just work your colour around. Really good for the watercolouring, and as I say, if it's something that you like to do, then it's a must-have. You absolutely need to have those. And I think that may be it. I have one other piece of equipment. Looks a bit mucky, but it's a silicone mat, and sometimes if you're gluing something and you want to protect your work surface, then using the silicone mat just protects what you're working on. So as I say, I've had this a while and it's a little bit it's got ink stains on it, but as I say, it does the job, and it saves your work surface, or saves your cutting mat for getting any ink or any glue on it. So that's definitely something to have a look out for. I don't think they're a lot of money, but well worth getting hold of one. The final thing, especially if you are looking at dies and die cutting, is the big shop machine. It's a reasonably sized machine, but it's worth it, especially if you're cutting various shapes and however intricate they are. It's a really good machine. I can't move mine from where its position is because it's stuck, but the Big Shot is definitely, it's an investment purchase. I mean, I luckily got mine at a discount from a shop that was shutting. I believe it was second hand anyway, but it's definitely well worth the investment if you're wanting to do that sort of crafting. I'll just get mine. Oh. So this is mine, and it's the old style one. Oops. Where you've got the multi-purpose platform with the tabs. I've still got my original cutting plates, and they were cut up before I even got them. So, and I've got the precision base plate, which is an additional purchase, but it's well worth getting this particular plate that sits on there, and then you die in your card on there, and then here you go through. So yes, it's really it can be a costly investment, but you need to see it as an investment. But it's well worth the purchase. I highly recommend it. I'm just going to put that back. The only problem is it's bulky and it's awkward to store. So if you're not going to be buying a die cutting machine yet, which, as I say, it's a considered purchase, I definitely recommend punchers. My favourite one is the tag top punch. These are the Stampin' Up punchers, and I love the fact that you close them and they lay flat. I have got quite a collection of the punches, but I find that circular punches is a really good investment in various sizes. But the punches are really, really good. I wouldn't be without mine. I have got previous different punches and I don't find them as good as the Stampin' Up ones, so I'm slowly getting rid of the ones that I've got, that I've collected over the years, and I'm replacing them with the Stampin' Up ones. I didn't have an awful lot anyway. I didn't have any really big punches, but I've got more punches with shapes and leaves and flowers and things like that now than I have before, and I find them really good, especially coordinating with the stamps with Stampin' Up. But definitely circle punches, they're so much better, rather than having to cut out a circle yourself or even get the die machine out to cut the circle out on the die machine. It's much quicker than with the punches, and if you've got multiple projects or you're doing a lot of things, then the punches are great. This is just a little tip. It's regarding storage of your paper scraps. Now, this is probably classed, unless I've got the details, it's probably classed as a Peeloff sticker pocket. Can I get that out? Right, this is called a 6-part DL organiser, but I remember using them to put Peeloff stickers in, and this is great for putting your scraps in, scrap bits of paper. Absolutely brilliant. Now it was Sam Hammond, Pootler's, who I first saw explain about one of these, and I've used one ever since, and I'll show you mine. So this is mine, and I have little tags with the coloured cards, and I've got little bits of the coloured cards all over. I've got the white and the cream at the back, and then I've got little pattern bits in the front, and it is absolutely excellent for sorting out your little scraps so they're not all over the place, and you can easily go to a tab and a colour, grab a little piece out, and you're like, oh, okay, I've got a little bit there, so I can just take a circle out of it, and that's it, and I can put it back. It's just absolutely brilliant for the organisation, especially with the colours and everything, and it's an absolutely brilliant tip that Sam showed. As I say, I had this off as a peel-off folder for the old peel-off stickers, and I can utilise it now for my scrap paper. So this one is a 6-part DL organiser, whereas mine's got a little elastic to keep it closed. This has got a push, a press stud. But yeah, you'll be able to keep things a lot more organised for your smaller bits of paper, and it's a must, really, especially if you do quite a lot of crafting like I do. Then I've got a central place where I've got all my bits of paper. And I think that is it. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to purchase any of the tools, if you go to the bottom of the See More, and you'll be able to link to my shop, and you'll be able to go through and see the various tools that are available at Stampin' Up. As I say, we've got the paper cutter, we've got the Big Shot, there's the tool with the poker tool, and the embellishment picker, and the stylus. You've got bone folders, you've got the water colouring brushes, all the adhesives that you require. So if you'd like to go over to my shop, have a look and see if there's anything that you might need for your crafting tools. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will speak to you soon. Bye bye.